Hi guys, it's Brigitte, and I'm sitting here with Warren Bailey. Now, Warren Bailey is a medium, a spiritualist, and a trance medium. And I'm really honored to be sitting here with you.
Thank you very much.
Now, Warren, so tell me, what's a spiritualist?
A spiritualist to me is someone who's not just going out there to prove the communication of spirit, but to also prove that divinity and that connection to the divine, which is around us in every aspect of our own lives, from nature to everything, really. It becomes so much a part of us. I think really when I first started, I would have just classed myself more as a medium.
Right.
But as time has gone on, it's the religious or the spiritual aspect took over and just changes you to the point that you can say that you're a spiritualist, but it's not really until you feel it and that divine connection that you really are in so many ways.
Yeah. Now, and what is a trance medium?
Okay, when it comes to the trance or the physical aspects, I use it more when I'm doing my demonstrations, and I allow that full communication of spirit to come forward. So it's not just your guides coming through via trance, it's also people's loved ones starting to come forward and connect through you. So you're not just relying on the mental aspect of mediumship, but that full essence of the person coming forward. And even to the point of allowing their voice or that confirmation to come through in such a stronger way that you feel every essence of that person's loved one, which is, to me, the way it was always meant to be, to prove not just that they're around us, but they run through every aspect of us. That connection they had to us in life is no further away than the moment they left.
So it's really like, like the physical essence of it. And I can only imagine that it takes a lot of energy because not many people in the world do it.
Now, you have a lot more now trance healers.
Yeah.
You do have some trance mediums where they bring through that communication and connection from their guide team.
Right.
And that, to me, that's fantastic. And whichever aspect of mediumship you're connecting in with. But to me, it's about joining that mental, that trance, that physical, all as one. So that pure essence of someone's loved one can just come forward and come through, so you can hear them, sense them in every aspect from the moment the medium starts that communication.
So how does that feel?
My actual trance guide is a 5-year-old girl.
Really?
Yeah.
Less.
Which is lovely. Very, very amusing for people if I just bring my guide through. I try not to, because I always feel with guides they give you the correct guide you need.
Yes.
And to me that young childlike spirit is perfect for me, especially when I sit and do trance on my own. It's fine to allow that connection through, but I become quite giggly, overly emotional, and a little bit silly. So to me, I use them to help guide through people's loved ones to connect in that trance vibration, rather than me turning into a 5-year-old girl on stage. That wouldn't really have the desired effect which people would be looking for from a communication.
Yeah.
But there are some mediums out there who have a lot more ancient guide team to work through via trance, and they will give that confirmation messages of where the energy of life is going, and that's perfect. But for my guide team, especially when it comes to my trance, it's more about allowing me to have that enjoyment back within inside my work.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Cool. I'm glad. I did say don't make me cry.
Yes, you did.
But no, when it comes to trance as well, it's about surrendering yourself in all aspects, and mediumship as a whole. To not surrender part of you is going to in end really damage the communication. So just to allow the mental connection to spirit is not always going to be enough. So to me, I prefer just to surrender all aspects of myself to the divine and allow that connection just to come through in whatever way spirit design it to.
Wow, yeah. Now you have a very interesting background. It is
Slightly.
I know you were born in Aylesbury, and yeah, my parents lived there actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know it well. And you served in the armed forces for 8 years.
Yeah.
And how was that?
It was good. It was one of those things in life, it opens your eyes to so much. But there came a time when I was serving that I started to ask why. And even though Spirit guided me on many things whilst I was in the forces, when it gets to that point where you start questioning, why am I doing this? There's something else got to be to this. And in a way, I saw too much, which started me to question my own soul's journey, if you like, my own path in life. And but whilst I was in, I could see, sense and experience the reasons why I was there.
Well, I called you an angel warrior. There you go. I even wrote it down.
There was a lot of times whilst I was, as we discussed earlier, when I was in there, where some of the journeys I undertook, and I will class them as journeys, they guided me to certain points for certain actions to take place. And because of that, lives were saved. But all in all, with anything in life, whether it's the army or whatever path you've took, your eyes are still the window to your soul.
Yes.
Your eyes can only see so much before your soul starts to feel the pain.
Of course.
And at that point, that was my time to get out and start my healing path, or start my journey into my spirit work at that point.
That's kind of a tipping point then.
It was definitely a tipping point. It led to a little bit of a rocky road for a few years afterwards, where my soul had to heal.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And this is something which people will agree or disagree with. Just because you wear a uniform, taking a life is neither right nor wrong. And when you're in the forces, you wear a uniform, you have to protect and serve, and you give this essence of peace. Yet, when you take a life, you pass on that pain not just to one person, but to everybody. And you also keep an essence of that pain to yourself, which is what you have to learn from. So just because you have to do something, or your path takes you in that way, you always have to face the consequences of that. And when that time comes, it's definitely time to withdraw and find a more peaceful way of life.
So you've been to war-torn countries, but you've also met the likes of Nelson Mandela.
I did. Yeah, he was absolute. There's not many words you can actually use to explain that man, because there's an awe which just came over him. And as much pain or suffering I'd experienced in my life, you could see or sense within his own energy not just what he'd suffered, but there was like a spark which was not of his own, which we always talk about earth angels.
That's
when spirit intervened with someone to change the direction of their life or to save a life. The only way I could describe Nelson Mandela would be to say something changed in him. Whether he found that whilst he was in prison or through all the things he'd seen in his life, because I could see the pain which my soul had suffered with inside him. But he was at a different transition, which his aura, if you like, even back then, something just glowed. I wouldn't like to say he was heaven sent in any way, but the direction he chose after everything which had happened to him, to me, was guided. And you could just sense it around him in so many different ways. And it was very short, brief conversations, but just being with inside his presence was enough just to really open your eyes to what can be done if you focus your energy in the right way.
Yeah, he remained, by the looks of it, very humble.
He was, yeah, and when he stopped and spoke to myself, it was a case. Even though I was on parade at the time, and I spoke to him for a few moments, and then I spoke to him afterwards. We were all like told to just relax, and and he came back round, and he just wished to speak to people, and really try to understand everyone he met. There was just something which you could tell had changed in him, which just made him want to learn or understand everyone's path and where they fitted in life.
Yeah.
And he was just a moving man. He was just genuine, humble. You wouldn't have thought that he'd suffered in the way which he had in his own life. And to me, he's still one of the greatest men who have ever walked this earth.
When did you first realize that you had an ability?
Okay, really when I was at school, I'd say, because anyone growing up as a medium or as a spiritualist or a spiritual person realises they're very, very different. You not necessarily can't connect with the world. It takes you a while to really understand it on the vibration you're on. Yeah. And it wasn't until, I just thought I was odd, the black sheep of the family, like we all do. But when I was at school, we all had to write a sonnet or a poem. And I was sat there and I'm thinking, oh, I've got no idea what to write. Yet I know the poem was actually published, and I won a competition for it nationally. But what came out of this, it was meant to be a Valentine's poem, but it was all about this gentleman who watched his wife pass, and it was about the love they shared, it was about the love they lost, and it was also about the love which reconnects them together afterwards. So this poem I wrote, or this sonnet, was not just about life, it was about the love, and it was about this reconnection when they actually take their transition into spirit.
Oh wow.
And back then, I wouldn't have known I hadn't lost anyone at that point. I was too young to really know much emotional pain of a loss, yet it was so graphic in its rawness connected to the emotions that it was like it was alive. It was someone else's story, and that'd be the only way I could really explain it, is it was someone else's story I had the honour of writing down. Right. And obviously I finished it, and I drew a couple of pictures at the top of the page, I remember now, and it was of this lady and this gentleman. And I'm not a psychic artist, I'd be more inclined to do stick men. But at the time I drew this and wrote this, I drew the picture of the gentleman and the lady, and I always think back to this poem and to the picture, and I'd like to think that that was them coming forward just to share their story at that
beautiful
point in time. And when I look back at it now, I would say that that was my first true connection to spirit.
But you've also written a book of poetry. It's just not published yet, is it?
I've got a few other stories and everything like that. My laptop is chocker. I've got, even now, I've got a book which is, I have all the chapters and everything's starting to make its way, but I've got one which is now dedicated to poetry or spirit stories which have been channeled through, and then also another one which is a more in-depth version of the way my life has took me to this point, but also a training manual of how spirit wished the world to be taught. Not just spiritually, but enlightened, and that connection to the divine within all that we do. So at present, they're on hold. I keep adding little bits and pieces every now and again, and it's just a case of waiting. Yeah. But I do hope that at some point in the near future, I still feel the right person would probably come along to help me piece it together.
Don't let us wait too long.
but then it will when it is finally finished, it will be a case that everything from it will go back to where it's meant to be, because even though part of it will be my story, everything which is shared as a communication from spirit is not the possession of me, it's the possession of spirit. So it
You're
has
just
to
a
go.
tool, right?
Yeah. So it'd have to go back to source.
Yeah,
if you like.
right.
So.
And through the highs, the lows of life, and you've crawled back out of spaces where many people would have said, "Oh, I give up on life. I really do give up." But I don't believe that spirit works that way. I very much believe if you want to move forward in life, it's give and take.
You have so many different ways when it. Watching a dog play with,
Yes.
but that, to me, even with the noisy bells going off, it's that slight humour which spirit bring to life. There's been about 3 times where I've been homeless. I had a problem with alcohol for a while. I even had a problem with aggression, anger, and loads of different things. But there's something when spirits start to work with you.
Yeah.
There's a light inside which, as much as life tries to dampen you down or break you or really put you on the back foot, it just keeps picking you up, and each time it picks you up you get stronger. But it's like you don't want to ever give thanks to you, because you're giving thanks to what's helping you up all the time. So it's not about I overcome this. It's that helping hand which was always around you, and spirit will they will put you through lessons, they will challenge you, but every aspect we've went through in life from the moment we were born to the present day is all a lesson, spirit, the good, the bad, the ugly, and it all makes us who we are and who we're meant to be in the future.
Well, you make that, and I've said that a lot of times. Before we're born, we have a soul contract.
Definitely.
How you want to complete that here on Earth, that's your choice.
Yeah. And I always believe, even with karma's not necessarily based to this lifetime.
No.
And we can go, why is everything going wrong for me? But who's to say that what's going on with yourself at this present moment is not a lesson you had to put right from a previous life?
Yeah.
And because of that, I'd go, okay, I can allow myself to separate slightly from that and go, this is something I need to deal with. This is something I really need to work out what I should have learnt from this, so I can actually piece it together to move forward, to really start opening more doors and looking at. It's like a rainy day. You can look at a rainy day and go, oh, or you can actually just go, but how peaceful is it? Every time it rains, you'll find me sort of stood outside in the garden, sort of barefoot, sort of wandering, because to me it's peaceful. Because it's not peaceful because it's rainy, it's peaceful because what is coming. And it's every time it rains, it's like that door's about to open, where the sunshine's going to come through, the rainbow, even watching that sun hit the wetness of the grass, and it like bounces off these little rainbow colours, and I class those like little spirit signs, and but it just makes life beautiful.
It does.
No, her name was either Bird or Birdie as a nickname or something like that, okay? But I feel with her, and what she was mentioning as well, is I feel either collapsed or fallen with her. I know I'm with inside my own home with this as well. She talks about people coming in and looking after her in some way also, but I feel it to be with 2 strong friendships around her, okay? Does that make sense so far?
Part of it.
Part of it, not quite sure on the people looking after her.
That bit's right, not the other bit.
What bit?
At home.
The at-home bit. But you'd understand where the fallen is with this lady, okay? Yeah. You'd also understand the 2 people who looked after her, okay? You should also understand where I feel like I'm connecting to 3 siblings, either connecting around you or around this lady. Okay, cool. Right, just confirm I'm still in the right place. When mediums work, it's via an interpretation of what they're speaking to us, okay? So I do apologise about that. The reason I actually went at home is because I was seeing funny carpet like this. And that was my preempting the fact that it looked like an old person's house. So I do apologise. Some old people probably have better taste than me, okay? Most of them. But as this lady was coming forward as well, she does just want to come forward with all this sense of humour as well, because she was about having fun, having laughter. But one thing which has been puzzling me since I actually started this connection is it does feel like I've got an epileptic type condition, not with her as such. If it is, I do apologise. But she keeps referring to it, and it's making this side of my brain tingle, okay? So I know that I've got that condition as well being mentioned with inside the family. I'm also aware of a gentleman who passes, but he passes when he hits an old age, okay? He goes peacefully into the night, if you like, okay? But he's also coming forward to let you know he's around yourself. If I mentioned where you've got like a worktop full of angels or crystals, you should understand that as well, okay? Because where this is coming forward, I also see like a chain, but more of a rosary as well. So I know I've got like a connection more with faith rather than Catholics, okay? Because it just feels like I've got this strength of faith and strength of belonging to something. I'm not sure at this moment why they keep showing me a gentleman's wallet, but as I'm opening it up as well, I'm seeing a picture being placed within. Okay, right, cool. Because they just want to say that they're around you, okay? And everyone seems to really want you to understand that. But they keep on referring also, and this is one thing which I will try and get across calmly, is it feels like there's been more than one bad loss, okay? Because I'm not just seeing like the elderly, I do feel the youngins, okay? And I keep seeing two youngins around here, okay? So especially with yourself as well, but they're being sent around you to really lift your spirits and rise you higher as well. I don't want to state that you work angelically, okay? But I've got that feel, okay? So either the case you do, or the fact you'd understand where you've helped someone in an angelic fashion recently. Okay, cool, right. As her eyesight must have been really bad, or you'd understand someone who was nearly blind. Right, okay, cool. Because anyone who didn't just see me nearly fall on my arse. Okay, right. But as the energy just came in there, my whole eyesight just disappeared from me for a short period of time. But where I was getting all these different essences, it feels like I need to just quickly mention the gentleman who really shrunk in age, and I feel that he was more curling up into that fetal position with himself, because I know that my whole body is really starting to shrink with himself, to the point that I'm not just suffering on my back, my legs, everything, to the point I then become immobile with him, okay? As soon as I'm made immobile, I also feel I'm only able to talk for about 3 days before my voice, either 3 days or 3 weeks, before my voice is gone from me, okay? He just wants to let you know he's around as well, okay? But Christmas time was a time of great sadness. I'm not sure if they're referring to this year or previous years, but they just keep talking about, I've got birthday loss, okay? So it all just hits in one big wave, and they're just letting you know they're around yourself to really encourage you forward. You've done great things, especially in the last couple of years, they're saying, okay, where you've really overcome so much, even to the point of understanding something about your own mortality. Okay, when they usually refer, I don't want to say that you've battled an illness or a condition, but when they usually say battled mortality or found your own mortality and an understanding of it, you've found this greater self, okay? And they just mention that. You would also, it feels like they're saying the candles were lit 2 days ago, okay? Right, okay, as long as you understand that, I'll break that part of the connection. But they just talk about 2 days ago candles were lit, and it feels in great memory. But they keep throwing me down to the coast as well, so I know I've got family connections round that way, okay? And I don't want to say skeggy, but it just came to my head, okay? But just be aware that they're bringing and pushing that energy there. They're talking about, this is a memory link they're showing me at this moment, where it's not the case that someone got locked in like a bath. It feels like someone got locked in a house, okay? And it's like they tried everywhere, but they couldn't get out, but then there's one door left open. Okay, right, cool. Because they just want to bring that forward as this reassurance of you that the divine light of spirit, if you like, is around you, okay? And as much as I'm talking to you here now, they keep dragging me down to one of your feet, causing you issues, okay? If it's not directly with you, you'd understand the person around you who has chronic problems with a foot, okay? But I know I've also got an A initial. It didn't sound like an Andrew, so I'll just give you the A initial, okay? Because there's more that A sound I caught at the very beginning of that. But they're talking about this fact of great promise coming to you also, where you've really had to, you went through that case now of making the sacrifices. It's now that time to really allow yourself to be, okay? Because they keep wishing you 5 years good luck, okay? I don't want to say nothing bad's going to happen, but they just want to keep wishing you this 5 years good luck, okay? You've also got Welsh connections as well. There's a connection. My link's just broken, okay? I've lost you there. Please take their love, please take their respect, and know they're always around you.
You know, it's amazing how you follow your inner guidance, you know, your inner compass. How do you advise people to become more aware?
Right, when...
Do you know how many people walk around like this with blinkers?
There's one thing which I know I sort of mentioned earlier about earth angels and stuff like that, but what people don't understand is you can actually see where those channels of light are coming down and where people in the world are in need of help, in need of assistance, because Spirit will show you someone in need, and you will just see it from a distance. It'll be like this very thin thread of light, if you like, where you can see their thoughts going up and Spirit's thoughts coming back down, and it creates this very thin essence of light, and you can see that from a distance. If you follow towards that, you will find that there's someone there wishing for you to talk to. A lot of the time, if I just go on a wander or a walkabout, which I do quite often, you'll find I'll follow these beams of light which are coming down, and I'll speak to someone, hopefully help them, or just sometimes just listen. And then after that, I never tell them who I am, because it's not my story, it's theirs. And then I carry on my journey. But it's not about looking at the ground, and this is where people get it wrong. Sometimes we have to look to the heavens, if you like. I'm not the most religious medium there is, even though we've talked about it quite a lot. But you will find that there's so much more beauty out there. And sometimes when you're looking at the beauty, you'll find someone to help. And every person you help in life, there's a reason you're helping them. Because part of you needs that healing, that understanding, or that helping. So to help one person, you help yourself. And it's just the way it should be. Everyone walks around looking at the ground or chasing money, or there's no point in it. You can't take it with you. It doesn't make you happy. A rich person's no happier than a poor person. Their struggles are just different. So it's about making sure that only value in life is those you have around you, or the smiles you allow people to embrace. And if you could make someone feel happy for a few moments, that's the greatest gift.
A smile doesn't cost anything. My dad always he's in Spirit, he used to say, bless every person, you know, you come across. And sometimes there'll be somebody that's poor on the street, and I'll just say, please bless him, you know, bless him. Or somebody's sad, and I just say, bless him or her, and just keep walking.
There was there was a time when I was living on the streets. I was outside Liverpool Street Station. I'd be little beanie out on the floor and everything like that. But there was, and I shared this with when I've done services during the during my address, and there was a gentleman on the phone. This was before mobiles, really, and he had his all nice posh suit on, and you could tell he had the big house, the money, but during this one moment, he didn't have any change. He didn't have those few coins to continue this phone call. You could see his emotion, you can see his stress and everything like that. So that moment, I stood up, I gave him the change. But it's not the fact of what he was given, it was the fact the way he had to look at life differently from that moment on. Because he would have had to look at someone who wasn't his equal to try and work out how they just done something for them. And that to me is it's about changing people's perspective of what should be, and then we can actually get on with the life we're meant to be doing, which is living it and enjoying it, not becoming stuck in the rut which 90% of people seem to be in.
Yes, I quote on the front of your website, which I really love.
I can't actually take much credit for that, because that was actually taken from the little messages Spirit actually passed on to myself, which is now inside the book waiting to be published. But that one I know I put on there especially because it just resonated, not just with myself, but I felt anyone who read it would really start to understand the difference in the way life can be if you just look at it differently. And that was what that was about. And with Spirit, they will give you a quote one day for you to learn something from. Every time you put a post up, put anything up, it will always be there for a reason.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not for you, but for everyone else to hear. And with that, it just resonated so strongly that I just felt that had to be.
It's basically, in a nutshell, it's really like, look, a spirit, you guys, wherever, they're always there for you.
Yeah.
If you learn to tune in, if you become more aware, if you just listen, they're there to help you and to guide you.
Yeah. Your guides will guide you through your ups, your downs, your everything. They will guide you through all your lessons you need. But you have to keep not just your faith in your guide team and spirit, you have to keep that faith in yourself. And that's the most difficult part. A lot of the time, actually, is keeping that faith and that trust within inside yourself, because it seems more fragile.
Yeah.
But your guide team are always going to be there. Your spirit are always going to be there.
I sometimes really wonder if they're banging their head against the wall, you know, like, aren't you listening?
A lot of my guides are ex-workers for Spirit, and that they will come in for a short period of time and then they disappear again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, it's like meeting a friend, which just comes in, shakes your hand, and then off they pop. And to me, it's lovely, because they just allow me to have a slight insight, and then they go again. And then I've got my other guides where I do have my grandfather comes forward quite a lot as a guide, and there's a friend of mine from the army. If he comes through as a guide, it's usually to give me a lecture because I've done something wrong. I'm not sure why, he just loves telling me off. But that's what Spirit about. They're not always going to tell you you're right.
No.
But they're not always going to tell you you're wrong either. You have to have that trust and that connection, not just within inside your guide team or within inside yourself. There's that final essence which does come, which is that connection, or some people refer to it as the God energy, or that divine energy. And to me, that is what makes a medium great, because that's that moment they realise there's something bigger than them. And usually when they get this, there's a big giant fall which comes beforehand, just for you to actually find your humility within inside your own work and your connection for Spirit.
You tour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do that just the UK, or is it also abroad?
Right. This year it's mainly the UK.
Okay.
I haven't really took much time off this year. Took a week off last week, which was nice to reconnect. This year I've had about 130 venues this year, but it's all UK based.
That's a lot of mileage.
That's a lot of mileage. I do the rounds, so I'm up and down all over the place, which is good. That's what Spirit want me to do. So I will go where they call me. If they ask me to go to Scotland to help someone, I'll drive to Scotland to help someone. I will do whatever they ask. Next year I'm in the UK, but also back over in America. So I'm over in Maine, New England, those type of areas next year. The year after that, I'm not going to be working much in the UK. I've got to go over to America again, and also to Australia the following year.
Nice, Australia.
So it's busy, and things are always they're getting busier. But no, wherever Spirit asks me to go, I'll go. So I'll carry on the journey. But no, you make so many good friends, contacts, everything throughout this journey, and everyone you meet has a different story to tell.
Of course.
No medium is ever better than the next. No. They have different ways, they have a different path, they have a different journey. You can try, walk away from your spirit path, you will always end up back on it, because what they give you it makes your life complete in so many ways.
It does. It's, there's more abundance than money alone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now, you also teach, right?
I do.
Do you even have time to teach?
Oh, right. When it comes to teach, I do as much teaching as what I can. I teach more unifying mediumship rather than just mental mediumship. Right. I teach the connection of everything, your physical, your trance, your healing, your mental, everything all connected as one. So when it comes to teaching, I like to make sure people have that full understanding of themselves, their own uniqueness through their journeys with inside life, and then the right information and knowledge from spirit to actually really develop and bring them on. But I don't really have a lot of time. I try as much as what I can.
Yeah.
At the moment, I only have 3 workshops this year. I'm hoping to do a few more next year. I do have some stateside, but I'm just trying to do all I can with what time I've got.
Yeah.
But it has
Understandable.
It has meant I don't have time to do many readings anymore. So that's why I've said to you before, I've changed now to a spiritual demonstrator rather than a spiritual medium, because I don't have enough time to fulfill those other commitments, which is a shame.
So basically people can just see you on platform.
Really, yeah.
And it's on your website, isn't it?
Yeah, it needs a little bit of updating, but I will do it after this. But yeah, no, majority of stuff's either on Facebook, Instagram, on LinkedIn as well, and obviously my website.
Yeah. Tell me something I don't know.
About me, I always try to be happy. I try to see the lighter side of life. Yeah, I don't know, it's a difficult question.
Yes.
Something people don't know. I do like to be quite transparent, so a lot of who I am, what I'm about, I try to make as clear as possible. Yeah, I don't really try to hide much nowadays.
Just be you.
I'm just me, yeah. I'm the same as everyone else. I struggle through life. We have our ups, we have our downs, and it's just about the way we see it. So it's about changing your view, changing the way you see life. So.
Yeah, to get you moving forward. Yeah. So, are there any last words that you want to give?
I would just like to thank you for taking the time to put this interview together and all you're doing for Spirit.
Thank you so much.
That's okay.
I'm honoured.
When it comes to what you're doing and what I'm doing and what other mediums do, it's all a journey. And when people's journeys cross, there's a reason they cross. And
That's right.
so with everything you're doing at the moment, there's a reason why you're doing it. So without giving you a reading on camera, just that there's a reason you're going to have so many people want to be interviewed. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for taking the time. I just love doing it. And the reason why I do it, as I said, is because I want people like you to have a bigger platform to reach a wider audience so that they can understand, and be inspired to change their own lives and understand more about spirit, the afterlife.
When it comes to spiritualism, it's all about, we can say there's different aspects. There's the way you see it in life, and there's the way you see it during your transition, and there's so much left to be discovered. Yes. The pioneers are not stuck in the past. They've done some fantastic, amazing work to get spiritualists to the place they are now. But we've reached a plateau where we now need new people to move forward, be the new pioneers, step out into the unknown. And this is what spiritualism's about, and this is also where your journey's taken you also.
Shall I tell you something funny? I'll tell you something funny. I wanted to go on that cruise. My house is still in the market in the US, but I wanted to go on this cruise so badly with James from Prague, Tony Stockwell, and I think it's Lynn Roberts, and so badly, and I needed to pay it by mid-June. Of course, it never happened. And then I thought, and I sat back, and I was still in St. Pete, and I said to one of my friends, I now understand, because there is a whole new, these are like the older genre, the older guard, however you want to call it. There is now a new wave of people coming in. And
Spirit gave me a message about a couple of years, and who it implies to at this moment, no idea. But free go up for free. Free come down for free to go up, and it's to do with the direction Spirit's going to take. So there's going to be 3 new pioneers coming upwards and 3 of the old guard, as you class them, coming down. It doesn't mean that their job's done, because once you start a journey for Spirit, it never truly ends. But there's big changes which are coming. A lot of mediums, I know they're all ready, preparing, they're resourcing their energy. But as I said, it's all about the change at the moment. And to me, I believe the new pioneers are about to lead the way.
Yes.
It's about
I believe that, yes.
It's not about just teaching the old ways. It's about teaching the old ways mixed with the new ways.
Yeah.
But that has to be done with the correct ethics. It has to be done with the correct support, and it has to be done with everyone unifying as one in one true goal, which is the proof of life after death.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take the opportunity to say thank you.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
going to give you a hug. Thank you.
Love.